Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. Let me spit out my gum. So how many of you know who I am? Have heard of my company? Have zero clue who I am whatsoever? Yes. Okay, that's awesome. Not really, but it really means like I'm a very poor marketer and I haven't been doing my job, but. Don't. So cool. Well, I want to give you guys the most possible value in our short time together this evening. So what I will do is briefly give you a very, very brief explanation of who I am, what do I do, and all that kind of stuff. And then I'd really like to spend most of the time answering any questions that you guys have about anything, whether it's entrepreneurship, which is what I love, whether it's about business, social media, which is something that I love, customer service, any of that kind of stuff, or maybe it's just about how terrible the Gators are this year. Doesn't matter. We can talk about it. We're always going to love our beloved Gators, though. Not so sure about these uniforms on Saturday night, but I put a poll up on social media yesterday, and we're at like, guys, it's like 55% yes. I did like a little, Instagram poll. 55% yes, 45% no. So, who likes them? All right, so we have a handful. All right. Anyway, so I started New Scooters for Less back in 2004 when I was a student at the University of Florida. Basically, I used to live on the west side of campus on 20th Avenue, and I think it's still a 2-lane road. They might be changing that now. I actually don't go over there anymore, but I used to sit there and wait for the bus to come pick me up to take me to school, and it would drive by with those big words across the top that say full bus. Does anybody in here have that problem today? Great. So the problem is being fixed slowly but surely. But I used to just sit there, wait for the bus would drive by, have full bus, and I could just never get to class, and it just drove me absolutely insane. And I just thought to myself, well, if I'm having these issues, how many other college students are having these issues? I remember when I got to the point where I could get a pass to park on campus. It was the commuter lot, and you had to have 60 credits to park at the commuter lot. And as soon as I got 60 credits, they bumped it to 90 credits. As soon as I got to 90 credits, they bumped it to 120. So now you had to be a graduate student to park on campus at the commuter lot. I don't know if that's still the way it is today or not, but bottom line was I couldn't park on campus, and I just had a hard time getting to school. Luckily for me, the classes were on TV back then. So on Cox Cable, Channel 5, they used to actually play the classes, the business classes that I was in, on cable television. I used to have to set my VCR. Remember what those are? Anybody know what a VCR is? Just making sure. And used to have to set a VCR. Now, I'm not that old. I'm only 35 years old, guys. Like, I'm not that old. But set my VCR, record class, and we were able to download them off the internet, but the files were like super small, and we had to like watch it class seriously on my laptop. It was like that big, and it was just crazy. So I ended up starting a scooter company in order to help college students get to and from class at their convenience because I didn't want those issues anymore. And here we are, almost 14 years later. We're one of the biggest dealerships in the country. We're going to sell over 800 scooters. Last year we sold 813. I think we're going to be closer to 850, maybe 900 by the time we get done with the year. And it's been one heck of a ride. I absolutely love business. And it's just a passion of mine. So I can talk stories, I can talk failures. I love the exercise that you guys just did. I've had multiple failures across my career, and all I can tell you is that each one continues to get me one step closer to success. A lot of people look at us and say, wow, like they're one of the biggest scooter dealerships in the country. They're so successful. In a way, that's true, but in another way, I'm like, no, I want to get further. I want to get further. We want to make Gainesville the scooter capital of the world. Okay, people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that. They're like, so what does that mean? We're going to have 50,000 scooters on the road in Gainesville and you're not going to be able to move? Not necessarily. What I want is when somebody hears the word scooter, I want them to automatically think Gainesville, Florida, the University of Florida, and new scooters for less. So if you live in Washington State and you hear the word scooter, that's what I want to come to your mind. And I think we're well on our way to doing that. But like I said, I want to help you guys however I can. So do you guys have any questions related to business, entrepreneurship, anything at all? Yes?
I have a question about how many scooters are happening right now. So I know a big problem is the scooter parking. Now that we have reached so many people with scooters, now what's happening with all the parking? So do you have any idea how, if they're expanding it, or what you can do to expand your business by allowing more parking?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I can tell you, like, when we started New Scooters for Less, the scooter parking were the little hashed areas at the end of parking spaces that had a sign in the middle that said scooter parking, scooter and motorcycle parking, which wasn't a big deal because there was maybe like 4 scooters in each one. And then as we started to sell more scooters, you would have that person who had their scooter parked in the middle, and then it was just like a jigsaw puzzle all the way to the outside, and you have to move like 30 scooters to get yours out. Then the University of Florida evolved into what you see now, which are actually scooter parking slots with arrows in and out, right? But now, because we put thousands of scooters on the road, scooter parking is getting jammed up. I hear Library West is an absolute nightmare. Sorry about that. I hear people's scooters getting damaged because they're getting really, really close together. And what I can tell you, the best thing that you guys can do is to be involved with organizations like student government, because student government helps in that process, helps getting scooter parking approved, talking to the university and trying to get an expansion on a lot of those parking lots. I do feel that the university over the years has gotten a lot better at noticing how many decals are being sold and selling more, or developing more parking for that. Norman Garage used to be just the little piece up underneath the center of Norman Garage. Now you have the 2 outside areas. We drove by there the other day and saw, it's crazy. And hopefully it'll just continue to evolve as we sell more and more scooters. But I still believe that it's easier than waiting for the bus. And the thing that a lot of people, I look at it as we're not selling a scooter, we're selling you your time, right? We're saving you time. It's about waking up, dragging out of bed, jumping on your scooter, and getting right to class without having to, sit there for 15 minutes and wait for the bus. What other questions you guys have? Yeah.
Like, did you have a background with scooters and know anything about them before you did it? Or you were just like, okay, I'm gonna do it?
No, man. That's what's so cool, right? Like, people ask me all the time, so did you grow up, like, was your family, like, really into Vespas or into motorcycles? Did you grow up around dealerships? Did you grow up riding? Dude, I'd never been on a motorcycle or scooter when I started the company. And it was recognizing an opportunity and just seizing it. Just being like, there's an opportunity here, and just going after it. And, it's it was a very calculated risk. It was a big risk, but one that has obviously paid off. Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest failure you've encountered so far?
The biggest failure that I have encountered so far was my partnership. So when we started New Scooters for Less, like I said, it was in 2004, and I started with a partner. We were 50-50 partners, and ultimately our visions ended up being different for the company. There's nothing wrong with that, but it led to us splitting 2 years later. So what did I learn from that failure? Would be to make sure that expectations are very clear and upfront. So if you're going to start a business with a partner, say, okay, man, these are going to be your roles and responsibilities. You're going to do these things. I'm going to do these things. Hopefully, and if you can, find a partner that has opposite strengths of you, because it makes for a really good partnership. I was really good in customer service, financing, and a lot of that sort of thing. And he was really good with negotiating the deals with the manufacturers and some of the things that we were doing there. So having opposite strengths really played to our benefit. But again, ultimately, it was not being on the same page in terms of the direction we were going. We call that the vision, right? What do I want this to look like in 20 years? And we weren't clear on that. We weren't on the same page. So it ultimately led to us splitting in 2006. But that's the biggest failure I've had. It won't keep me from having another partnership, though. So I've had a lot of people ask me that. Would you ever get into another partnership? And the answer is yes. But I would definitely make sure I took all of those steps. Is there a question over here as well? Yeah.
How do you handle competition with other scooter businesses in Gainesville?
I just destroy them.
I like to hear that.
No, when it comes to competition, I mean, there's all the variables, right? There's price, like you're going to compete on price. I don't like to necessarily compete on price. I like to compete on customer service, where I have an advantage. And that does not necessarily, like, we do plenty of things wrong. Like, we have little failures. I heard somebody say I have a bunch of little failures, right? Like, we have little failures all the time. But the difference with us is that we learn from them. And we take the feedback that we get from customers and we improve so that we're better the next time. If you were to have an issue with anything in my company, like, I need to know about it, and we will fix it and we'll make sure it's better the next time. Now, my advantage over competition is that I am very much into what you guys are into. I'm 35, but I'm not super old. And I love social media. I love Snapchat, and I use these to my benefit. Like, this is my business card. I want you guys to take one today. This is my Snapchat code. All right, I give this to all of my customers, and I say, hey, if you ever have a problem with your scooter or you need anything, you have a question, you reach out directly to me, and I'll be happy to answer it. And I do that with everybody that buys a scooter from us. Now they have a direct link to me, the owner of the company. And sometimes it's like not even related to scooters at all. It'll be something completely random, but I just enjoy engaging, enjoy talking. But it's competitive advantage because it's customer service. It's, hey, Colin, I'm having trouble starting my scooter. It's 10 o'clock on a Friday night. When you're not getting that response from any other dealership in the country, and you are getting it from me, it's one thing that separates us from our competition. Question right here? Yeah.
Do you have any Snapchat streaks?
Snapchat.
Like, that's where you, like, go back and forth for, like, multiple days and you get a little fire icon.
Streaks.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
You're missing out.
I know. I'm totally missing out. You're right.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. So what advice would you have for some of our members or people that are interested in like careers in entrepreneurship, or what can they do now while at the University of Florida to prepare for like entrepreneurship or careers with entrepreneurship?
Okay. The best thing you can possibly do is get involved with businesses locally. You know, if you want to be an entrepreneur, then go learn from an entrepreneur in Gainesville. Go intern, go spend time with them, shadow them, whatever they will let you do, like do that. Just get involved, because you'll quickly learn whether or not it's something that you're into, just being around it. You know what I mean? And there's so many opportunities, and there's so many more resources now than when I was in school. So they just built Infinity Hall, and there's so many entrepreneurship programs and incubators and accelerators, and a lot of these incubators take Starter Space, for example. Like, they have, you know, young companies in there that are looking for help, that would really love to pull people in that would, you know, donate a portion of their time to helping them with their cause and their purpose. And I think it would be a good resume builder for one, great networking, a good way to build some relationships, and ultimately show you whether or not entrepreneurship is something that you're into. Now my go-to advice for college students, though, and it might not help if you're an entrepreneur, but it would definitely help if you're thinking of getting a job somewhere. It's like, how many people are working on your resume? Like, everybody's like working on their resume, right? There's all this resume talk. Like, I'm not a big resume person, but I will tell you that the most important thing about a resume is it making you stand out. Like, I see so many resumes that just look the same. They just look the same. And one of the coolest hires I had, I was actually going through resumes like this, and then I had to turn it this way. It was like landscape, and it stood out. And just because I had to turn it, it made me remember it, right? That guy stood out. There was one where I was hiring a marketing person. Good resumes, you know, great work experience, that sort of thing. But then I had one that had this graphic attached to it. Okay, it was, yes, I had a resume, but behind the resume was this graphic. and it had all these lines, and it was really well done, and it just said, hey, have you heard that the greatest marketing director in the city of Gainesville is available for hire? And then had this huge arrow that went down here. She was born on this day, blah, blah, blah. And it was just her story written in a graphic. Hired her instantly. I mean, that's all it took. I gave advice to a guy who was going up. He worked for me. He was like, Colin, I need some advice. I'm going up to New York City. I want to get a job there. This is what I want to do. And he was in the military, and he was he was an awesome mechanic, but he had also wrenched on helicopters for the Air Force. I said, I want you to go get a picture of you holding a wrench in uniform in front of a helicopter and attach it to every single resume. Because the person who doesn't hire that guy is a complete fool, right? So just think about the little things that can make you stand out over all the other resumes that employers are going through. And don't be afraid to take risks. Like a lot of people, I know that there's processes. You're filling out things with companies, and they have this formal process, and you got to go through the HR department. You got to do all this. But man, like, screw that. Like, go find the back door. Like, get on LinkedIn, find out how you can find out what they like. See if you can engage with them on social media, Twitter. If they're talking about, I was giving advice to one guy. He was trying to get a job with a startup, and it was a fishing company, and he was all into fishing, and he actually carves like fish out of wood. I don't know what they're called, but like that go on the wall, and it's all carved out of wood. And I said, well, would you mind like making one of those and sending it to his address as a gift with your resume in the box? He was like, oh my gosh, that's an amazing idea. Like, do it, because it would make him stand out. So those are just some ideas, but I really like to impress when it comes to resumes not being just another piece of paper. Okay? What other questions? Yes.
I know a lot of college students, like when they talk with entrepreneurs, they're like, well, how did you have the money to start up a new company? Like, I'm broke, I can barely afford a coffee from Dunkin' or something. So what would you
You like get down on your knees like this, and you go, please, will you like give me some money? I mean, there's money everywhere. You just have to look for those opportunities and really go after it. Now, with me and my business partner, when we started out, we actually started with $19,000 of money that he had saved, and that's how I kind of got my foot in with him. The trade-off there was that he was still in school, and I was graduating, and I was going to be investing a heck of a lot of time while he was going to school. And I obviously, as partnership, we had to pay it all back to him, and all that happened. But guys, I remember one time when I had a customer walk into our dealership, and he was looking to buy it was actually a little dirt bike. We were selling like these little 125cc dirt bikes, and he was looking to buy one for his son, and he came in and he was impressed. I was 22 years old at the time. He's like, oh my gosh, you're 22 and you own all this? This is crazy. And I'm like, yeah, man, come on. And of course, I get excited about it. I'm like, yeah, come in, let me give you the grand tour, let's go. And ended up just talking with this guy, spending several hours with him. And all I did at the end of the day, after we had closed, I sent him an email and I said, hey, Roger, it was really nice meeting you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for buying that dirt bike for your son. If there's anything else I can help with, definitely feel free to let me know. And then I said, as a small company, I'm always looking for opportunities to grow, and that means money. We're always looking for investors. So if you know anybody who would be interested in making a smart investment in my little company, please let me know. And he said, Colin, I'll invest in your company. And he sent me $45,000 the next day. So there's money out there. You just have to look for those opportunities and realize it can come from anywhere. It can come from somebody, like if anybody in here was going to start a business, where are you going to start? You're going to start with mom and dad, family. Like my uncle is an investor in my company. When my mom and dad were like, no, like this is a bad idea. Don't start a company, don't do it. My uncle was like, yeah, go do it. Like, I love this idea. And he gave me a little bit of money and, it worked out. Now, my mom and dad, I actually had to prove wrong. Like, they didn't give me any money. And I remember going back for Christmas after those first few months of having the company. My dad's like, so how are things going? And I'm like, well, we've raised a bunch of money from some private investors. We're making them this much interest, and they're banking. And my dad's like, well, I want to bank. Like, I want to make some money. So he ended up investing, and it worked out well. So I think you just have to look for those opportunities. A lot of startups, the things to be cautious of is heavy debt. You know, like, I don't necessarily recommend financing a company on a credit card, but I won't lie, I've totally done it. You know, we have gotten lots and lots of credit card debt, but it's, you know, it depends on how deep you're willing to go. And, you know, obviously, I'm a very high risk taker, so we were willing to go pretty deep. What other questions you guys got? Any? Yeah.
Is Gainesville your only location? And if it is, have you ever thought of expanding?
Yep. So Gainesville is our only location. We have thought about expanding many times. We've done research on many other markets. The thing that kind of holds us back is we keep selling more and more scooters from this location. So this location is still growing. And for example, like, we've studied one of our competitors who actually has like 4 or 5 locations, and we sell more scooters from our one location than he does in all of his combined. So when I look at numbers like that from an overhead standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense to open up another dealership. And what I'm really waiting for is for somebody to want to start that dealership, specifically one of my team members. I would love from somebody who's already invested and like knows our culture really, really well to break out from what we're doing and move and go start another dealership and actually use some of their money and be an owner in that dealership. That's what I'd really like to happen, but I think it's gonna just take a little bit more time. There's other ways we can scale, and we're definitely focused on those ways. We're developing software that will help other dealerships. That's something that we're working on right now. We want to get into more e-commerce, a lot of things that aren't going to necessarily mean setting up dealerships across the country. Because with that comes a lot of headaches, a lot of travel, a lot of overhead, and that sort of thing. So, any other questions? Yeah.
So based on his question, like, if you were to expand, how do you guys combat like the stigma of scooters? Because like even people I know who go to other schools and they'll see like Snapchats or stuff of like UF and they're like, oh, those Vespas or those mopeds and stuff, and like I feel like everyone who goes here is like, oh, that's a scooter. Like obviously, like, how do you guys combat that, and how has that like affected your business of new scooters for less instead of Vespas or whatever mopeds for less?
So 2 parts to that question, right? So we have. Well, I'll tell you this. It's very easy to look at the Florida market and be like, oh, those scooters, like, that's so dorky, blah, blah, blah. When you're from the outside looking in, it's very easy to do that. I can tell you, for the longest time here in Gainesville, our biggest customer was sophomores. Now, the reason is because we had all these high school seniors coming into the University of Florida. We got, I don't know, is there any freshmen in here? Had like a little bit of a senior high school ego, right? Like, because you're kind of like top of the class, and then you get, you know, now you're freshman. And I honestly had parents looking at their students saying, like, let me buy you this scooter. This will help you. This will save you time. Like, let me buy this for you. And students were saying, Mom and Dad, I would not be caught dead on that. Are you kidding? Like, that's so dorky. All right? They'd suffer for a year, and then they'd come in as sophomores. And so our biggest customer for a long time was sophomores. Now, as the scooter market has grown, and we as a dealership definitely spend a lot of time to make scooters cool, like cool designs, cool colors, like a lot of exclusivity. A lot of people don't know this, but there's colors at our dealership that you can't get anywhere else in the country. Things like that that really give it that exclusivity and make it cool, make it not dorky. And that's helped. So now our number one customer is freshmen by far. From an outsider, somebody who's in Alabama looking at the University of Florida, like, I can understand it. They don't get it, but scooters are cool, and that's just because we've tried to market them and make it cool, make it young, make it fun. Yeah.
I actually don't think I ever told you this, but before I came to UF,
I'm nervous now.
No, yeah, but like before I came to UF, obviously I'm an out-of-state student from Arkansas, and I was like researching on Instagram, like hashtag UF campus, hashtag UF, just like looking at pictures, and then all of a sudden I started getting like advertisements from, you know, companies or places in Gainesville, and like one of the first things I saw was in Israel, like a Instagram advertisement. While I was still like in China or Arkansas, wherever I was. So like then I was like, oh, and I looked at your website and I like started getting. That's why I thought everyone knew about Israel when I came here, because like I saw it on Instagram and I was like, you're right, guys, like, you know, in Israel they're like, I don't know. I was like, well, I mean, that's what I saw. Like I saw their Instagram advertisement, so I think that's really cool. Like before I even came here.
I can tell you, like, one of the things that we have done really well is always be at the forefront of a lot of the things you can do marketing-wise. We were, if we weren't the first company marketing on Instagram in Gainesville, we were one of the first for sure. I mean, as soon as you could start marketing on Instagram, I started doing it. And the greatest thing that happened, it was a billboard. It was a picture of a billboard in front of a scooter. It says, our biggest sale ever, $200 off, blowout sale. And then we like marketed it to students at the University of Florida, and I don't know how many tags it got, but it was just people were just tagging their friends, boom, 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 all the way down, and it was one of the most successful ad campaigns we've ever done. So things with social media, Instagram, well, I mean, it's easy to realize why, right? Because everybody's attention is right here. Like, I read something that says we touch our phone like 150 something times a day. Like, we're never leaving with it. Everybody has their phone with them. It's like an extension of who we are. Like, and we just got these phone wallets. I wish I would have brought you guys some, but we just got these phone wallets, and then I realized, I'm like, dang. Now when I lose my phone, I also lose my wallet. Like, this is terrible. But anyway, there's a question over here.
Yeah.
So for more like less on the stigma of scooters being dorky, but how do you guys talk about like safety? Because that's like the biggest issue that I've seen. They're kind of dangerous.
Safety is always a concern. We actually had a customer just 2 days ago get into a serious accident. You guys might have read about it in the Alligator. She was one of our customers, actually renting a scooter. I mean, all we can do as a company is continue to educate you guys. Like, the biggest thing that you can do when you're on a scooter is obviously wear a helmet. But it's that, like, we're trying to do the same thing. We're making it, you got to make it cool to wear a helmet. And right now it's not. And the way you do that is by getting a majority wearing helmets. If everybody was wearing a helmet, then the next person wouldn't think twice about it. They'd just be like, all right, everybody does this, so I'll do it too. The unfortunate part of that is that it's very hard to do. We just did a helmet pledge for like 3 months where we literally gave up $30,000 of revenue by giving away free helmets with every scooter purchase. I mean, we would have made a lot of money if we just did not do that and we just sold the helmets. Because what's ironic about that is that every time we sell a scooter, like 80% of the people who buy a scooter buy a helmet. 80%, but the problem is that they're not being put on heads. Nobody's wearing them. So we made a huge push, a huge campaign where we said we were going to give away helmets with every scooter purchase through the end of August, which August is our busiest month of the year. We sold 311 scooters in the month of August alone. But still, like, it's hard. We can't keep giving away helmets because they cost us a lot of money, and it's just you're right. I mean, it's a perception issue. It's like, it's uncool, like, until we can figure out a way to make it cool and get more students to realize that they are protecting this investment that got them into this awesome school. There's not a whole lot we can do except to educate, keep putting out more material, more video, that sort of thing. But I definitely agree that it's an issue. The other thing that we could do is change the law and enforce it. That would definitely help, because I guarantee you if you got pulled over and we're getting a $120 ticket for not wearing a helmet, that you'd put it on. You get pulled over enough times, you're going to eventually put that helmet on. But because they don't enforce it, it's going to continue to be the way it is.
Yes.
What do you what were you involved in here at the university that helped you in your business life, and also what was your major?
So I didn't do very much that was business involved. I did major in business, but I wasn't really involved in a lot of the organizations. Besides, I think I did some like entrepreneurship club stuff. The biggest thing that I was involved in was marching band. I honestly thought that my life was going to go into a music career. So I had grown up playing trumpet my entire life, got into marching band. That was really cool. We traveled, and our marching band's really cool here.
Woo! Go Sarah.
God, it's awesome, and like I engage with them on social media, and they're all over social media, and they're doing really cool stuff, and so they're just a lot of fun. Of course, and Howard just got finished interning with us, so Howard he was our intern over the summer, and he was awesome. But anyway, I thought I was gonna go into music. I worked at a local recording studio. I interned at a local recording studio. But it was really from the production side. I thought I was going to be producing music. I worked for Rock 104, which is now the Gator 103.7 Country, but it used to be a rock station. I used to MC a lot of Battle of the Bands and a lot of, anything music related, I was in. And I just thought that was going to be the direction that I went to. And I think that's a good lesson, because follow your interests. So many people are like, how do you find out what you're passionate about? Like everybody says, do what you're passionate about. Like, how do you find out what you're passionate about? Well, go try as many things as possible and find out. Like I thought I was passionate about music. I started doing all these music things, and it ended up leading to a scooter dealership somehow. But I look back at all those times, all the times that I had to be on the mic, in front of people, all the times that I had to be on camera, all the times that I had to running a company, I was paying bills for this recording studio. I was booking clients over the phone. I was working with customers. All of that has helped me. So I've definitely got a lot of value out of all of those things, but I'm not in the music business. So yeah.
So you said something about internships. Do you offer internships, and what kind of internships do you offer?
We do. We offer internships all the time. Kat has interned with us before. She was amazing. We did some marketing stuff. The internships that we have available right now is we're really, really focused on our vlog. So this is Austin over here, and we do a vlog. You can see it if you go to the web address nsforel.tv. It will take you right there. And it shows you, it's just it gives you but the behind the scenes of what we do at the dealership. He will follow me around all day long, and then he'll spend the next day editing it, and we'll put it out as an episode, and it's a lot of fun. It's allowed us to show customers really what's going on further behind the scenes. So right now we have a video intern, and we also have another marketing intern, which is really brand development. She is working on a new e-commerce website, for example, and we just released 2 new brands. One's called buymyscooter.com, which many of you probably haven't heard of yet, but it's a new website that we're developing that's going to it's going to be basically the glorified Craigslist for scooters in Gainesville. So if you're interested in looking for a used scooter, or you have a scooter that you want to sell, it will be the place to go and sell your scooter. It's all about driving eyeballs to the used scooter market. And then we're also stepping into golf carts for the first time. And so we have Gainesville Golf Carts, which is another brand that we're developing. And so that's what a lot of the interns do. They come in, they help us focus and figure out innovative ways to market these brands to develop them. So we have several different internships. So if you would like to intern with us, and they run by semester. So we do spring semester, fall semester, and all summer. Question?
Yeah, I had a question. So what advice do you have for our members about students who are facing pressures between being entrepreneurs and starting their own businesses and working for small startups and things like that, versus the pressures of, as a business school, corporate America and all these jobs? What advice do you have for that?
I would just say explore both. Now's the time. Explore both. If you can, get an internship with corporate America and see how you like it compared to working with local organizations and so forth here. You know what I mean? You can kind of get a gauge of what the biggest differences are, right? Corporate America is going to be much more formal, and Entrepreneurship America. It's going to be t-shirts, polos, and shorts, and very relaxed. Like we take our business seriously, but we're not showing up to work at 7 a.m. We show up to work at 10 a.m. You know, and it's just different. It's just really different. We have a set of core values, and that kind of guides everything that we do. I prefer less policy, more value-based decisions. So there's a huge difference, and all I can say is to explore both. Really explore both. Yes, ma'am.
When do applications for the spring semester internships open?
So the best thing to do would get one of my cards and email me. You can start applying now, just on the application to specify that you want it for spring or for summer or for the next fall, whatever fits your schedule best. But it's a lot of fun. We have a really cool office environment, and it can be very loud sometimes because there's scooters everywhere. Yes?
Do you have to own a scooter or know anything about scooters to
Work the internship?
Yeah.
Nope.
Awesome.
You have to have no scooter experience whatsoever. Just come in and be ready to, you know, to work. And the biggest thing that I like to, when I sit down with internships and the interviews and stuff, is like I want to find out like what your goals are, what you want to get out of it, and how we're going to bring you the most value. So I love knowing, you know, where you are in your student career now and what that dream job is, you know, because the best thing what would be the coolest thing is for you to reach back out to me and say, Colin, can you write me a recommendation letter for this amazing job? And I want to say yes, you know? So, and that value can be different for everybody. So anything else, guys? Awesome. Well, I would say that if you ever have questions, whether it's about business, social media, anything, like definitely hit me up. Please get one of my cards. I also brought these really cool Watch for Scooter bumper stickers. So you guys can have one of them. And don't be afraid to reach out to me. I know you probably get like a lot of speakers and stuff, and it sounds like serious, and they're like, don't, you know, I'm telling you to reach out to me, and then it's kind of like, I don't think I'm going to reach out to people. If you email me, you will get a response. I'm definitely happy to help you however I can and whichever way I can. And of course, if you need a scooter, you know where to find me. We're like half a mile up on 13th Street. All right? So thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.